Welcome to the Jocular Spectacular, where we jocularly talk about spectacular things. Got a turtle swimming around behind me, a dog sleeping over there. I'm Walter. Today's spectacular thing we're talking about today is a book. But I won't get to the name of that book quite yet. Call of Duty Vanguard. I like playing through a Call of Duty campaign. You know, it's nice FPS, pop fluff, Michael Bay, throwing popcorn around the theater and just having a fun shooting gallery for however long they last, like 5-6 hours. But this year's Call of Duty Vanguard, I'm nonplussed. You know, I've definitely more into multiplayer these days. I recently reinstalled the Modern Warfare multiplayer, just messing around in there. Got back into Warzone with my buddies. I'm having a good time, man, and I don't see the reason to buy a new Call of Duty, because my old-ass Modern Warfare loadouts still viable, still winning games with it. And so it really comes down to campaign for this one. And so far, what they've shown of Call of Duty Vanguard, it doesn't interest me. They showed off one of the playable characters' stories, and it's the Siege of Stalingrad, which Stalingrad is not novel, not even for the Call of Duty franchise. My first memory of Call of Duty was playing the Stalingrad level in Call of Duty 2 on my buddy Sid's computer, man. Blew my mind out of my asshole. It was great. But, again, we're back in Stalingrad, and it's, you know, Call of Duty's been making more or less a campaign every year for the past, 20 years? Something less than that, but this Stalingrad they showed was just very been there, done that, you know? Your home's been attacked and you're on your back foot fighting against an overwhelming enemy. And we have this scene of chaos and conflagration. But then it's juxtaposed with cutting back to a scene before the Blitzkrieg, and we see the player character walking around a quiet Stalingrad, you know? Been there, done that, you know? That sort of narrative element that's sort of tugging at the heartstrings of, here's this bright red orange skybox conveying the violence and the terror that's happening in Stalingrad, but then you get the quiet, peaceful scene of just walking around Stalingrad before the fighting, give you so you know what the characters are fighting for, so you're emotionally invested in protecting Stalingrad and its people, you know. But again, we've been there, done that. That trick is old hat, you know. It doesn't, that simple narrative trick in games it doesn't work on me anymore, you know. But keep it novel. Instead of starting with the quiet scene, we start with the chaos, and then we cut to a couple hours earlier then get the quiet scene afterwards. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, rearrange the order. It's still the same scene we've seen thousands of times. Not thousands. We've seen many times before in gaming. You know, but, you know, that's only one level. They could still keep Vanguard fresh. Might still be into it. But fuck that. If you want a refreshing World War II narrative, today's spectacular thing we're talking about, City of Thieves by David Benioff. This is one of my favorite books. I've recently culled most of my physical media, but I'm keeping a handful of books and, you know, anime you can't find anywhere, really. But City of Thieves is one of those couple of books that I'm keeping. The name David Benioff might sound familiar to you. Says here, author of The 25th Hour, which is why I checked this out, because The 25th Hour is a really cool Spike Lee movie. And David Benioff wrote the original book. And that's what attracted me to checking out City of Thieves. Named David Benioff is familiar to most people. He was one of the co-showrunners of Game of Thrones. You might think, like, did you check out this book because you're a Game of Thrones fan? No, the opposite. I checked out Game of Thrones once I found out David Benioff was one of the showrunners, because this book blew my mind out of my asshole. It's a great read, man. It's a very great read. It's a coming-of-age story, a dark comedy set in the Siege of Leningrad. Let me just read the summary on the back of the book here. During the Nazis' brutal siege of Leningrad, Lev Benioff is arrested for looting and thrown into the same cell as a handsome deserter named Kolya. Instead of being executed, Lev and Kolya are given a shot at saving their own lives by complying with an outrageous directive. Secure a dozen eggs for a powerful Soviet colonel to use in his daughter's wedding cake. In a city cut off from all supplies and suffering unbelievable deprivation, Lev and Kolya embark on a hunt through the dire lawlessness of Leningrad and behind enemy lines to find the impossible. By turns insightful and funny, thrilling and terrifying, City of Thieves is a gripping cinematic World War II adventure and an intimate coming-of-age story with an utterly contemporary feel for how boys become men. It's a fantastic book, man. Like, the entire time Game of Thrones was coming out, I was waiting for, hey, let's wrap this show up, because I want more prose from David Benioff, man. He's a good writer. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to do characters and stories. And I know a lot of people are hurt from the last season of Game of Thrones, but give this book a shot. It's fantastic, man. It's a refreshing, novel take on the World War II story, man. If you have to spend money on a World War II thing this year, buy a copy of City of Thieves, man. A novel should hook you with its first sentence. Its first sentence should intrigue you to want to keep you going through this however many pages journey it ends up being. And City of Thieves, man. Love this first sentence. Check if you don't want to read it. Apparently, the audiobook is read by Ron Perlman. That's dope as hell. Go do that, man. Go do that. But this first sentence: my grandfather, the knife fighter, killed 2 Germans before he was 18. I didn't like that read, but let's try it again. My grandfather, the knife fighter, killed 2 Germans before he was 18. That hooks you, man. You're intrigued. You're intrigued, man. Who's this grandfather fella? Is he a badass? He's a knife fighter. He killed 2 Germans. When he was still a youth. Come on, let's see where this guy goes. Let's see where it's going. And the rest of the paragraph is just... it's compelling, man. I don't remember anyone telling me. It was something I always seemed to know, the way I knew the Yankees wore pinstripes for home games and gray for the road. But I wasn't born with the knowledge. Who told me? Not my father, who never shared secrets, or my mother, who shied away from mentioning the unpleasant, all things bloody, cancerous, or deformed. Not my grandmother, who knew every folk tale from the old country, most of them gruesome, children devoured by wolves and beheaded by witches, but never spoke about the war in my hearing, and certainly not my grandfather himself, the smiling watchman of my earliest memories, the quiet, black-eyed, slender man who held my hands as we crossed the avenues, who sat on a park bench reading his Russian newspaper while I chased pigeons and harassed sugar ants with broken twigs. I want to know who this grandfather is, baby. I don't know. I play a lot of video games, RPGs. This going out on a quest sort of thing. I love that premise, and just the twist on the premise of just like, yeah, you have to go out on this epic quest of life and death for a dozen eggs. You run into, it's dark times in Leningrad. People are starving. They run into cannibals, people eating. I think they're eating paper, books. They're eating books, I think. And they run into, and of course, it's World War II. Siege of Leningrad. They run into Nazis. Antics ensue. I don't know. Check it out for yourselves. Because I don't want to say too much of it, Part of the journey, the adventure, is you discovering it. Going through it with Kolya and Lev, and later Vika. And for some gamers, this book cover might look familiar. Those narrative mastercrafters at Naughty Dog? The creative leads of Naughty Dog were inspired by City of Thieves for The Last of Us. Bruce Straley and Neil Druckmann. Big fans of City of Thieves. In The Last of Us 2, when we cut to taking over... Oh my god. I'm blanking. When we cut to taking over as Abby for her main chunk of the game, she's seen reading City of Thieves. That's how important City of Thieves is to The Last of Us. Abby is reading City of Thieves when we take over as her for the second half of the game. The main character in this is Lev. Hey, check that out. One of the main characters in Last of Us 2 is named Lev. It's no coincidence, man. This is a fantastic book. If you like I said, if you like compelling narratives, give it a read. This has been the Jocular Spectalkular. And I assure you, City of Thieves is spectacular.